Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy David. I'm here with K-Town.
K-Town.
And Marquise.
Yo, we're back.
We're back.
On a somber note.
And we're just a bunch of fucking incels today.
God damn it.
I prefer the word shy boy.
We're back on our bullshit.
We're back. Yes, today, welcome to the Good Times of Killing Us podcast for real, guys. Today, we are talking about what so far has been the darkest, most depressing road that we've gone down so far.
It's a rough one.
We're talking...
bummer, dude.
We're talking about incels, i.e. involuntary celibates.
Involuntary celibates. There's no ham horn for that, bro. But real quick, before we really jump into it, you want to do like some quick housekeeping? Like,
what do you mean?
Like, your boys are fucking here. We're on iTunes now and Spotify.
Oh,
and
true.
We're out here. Like, the YouTube is still here. You can check out the episodes on YouTube, but like, really hit your boys up on the Spotify, iTunes, probably most podcasting things.
Anchor.
Anchor. That's our main squeeze.
I mean, Spotify, iTunes, and that's really all you need. But if you're using one of those weird shits, I think we're on like 5 others. I personally use kind of a weird podcast app, so I feel you if you're left out. You're not using the cool kid apps.
But for real, shouts out to Anchor though.
Yo, big shouts
out.
Yo, don't share the secrets.
No, I mean, yeah, they helped us a lot. They fire.
Yeah, they are fire for fucking podcasting, hosting shit, dude. Big shouts to Anchor, dude.
That's
big
right.
Shouts.
So if you've been listening to the episodes in order, you've probably actually already listened to a couple episodes that have been on those platforms. But we're really out here, baby. So you know what? I like that, Mark. That was a good positive kickoff to incel, the involuntary celibates. Which what do y'all want to say first about these guys before we get deep into this?
I didn't know too much about them. I definitely I was familiar with them. I'd heard about the term and like what it meant. And honestly, I wasn't like I think a lot of people like heard about them because of like some of the more violent acts, the shootings and the fucking killings and shit. And so I didn't really hear about them from that angle. I mean, it did, but I kind of had I came from a more of a different angle that I heard about them, and so there was some more sympathy when I first heard about them.
Look, all these poor guys can't get laid.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was thinking for the most part, but it get a whole lot worse, like.
Oh yeah, it's got a whole lot worse.
I've never hated the Matrix trilogy more than I have after researching this shit.
Man, because we really got red-pilled in this research. I remember. We're going to have an episode soon where we're going to kind of talk about our behind-the-scenes process, but to keep it short, we always meet up once or twice before we do these episodes. We hang out, and we kind of, have some friends around and have a couple drinks. When we got together to do this incel research, and we're going through articles, going through YouTube videos, we got the drunker than we had ever been for any part of this.
Yo, shouts out to White Claws and Four Locos.
Yes. We were going old school with the new school. Millennials meeting Generation Y up in this bitch. But not really. We weren't hanging out with any young boys. We were just drinking their drinks.
Yeah, we were. Yeah. It's a rough one, dude. This one's not like... There weren't a lot of good times in this episode, dude. Like,
I don't know. I like that transgender woman's video we watched.
ContraPoints. Big shout out to ContraPoints.
I actually watched that with my girl, the entire video, and she was really into it.
Dude, awesome. Awesome video. A lot of information. Shout to her and that YouTube channel.
Let's get into it. So, incels, what the fuck did these dudes look like? They're typically young, straight, white, introverted men.
Why?
Men only, no fucking ladies allowed.
Pretty much. I mean, which
is fucking weird because of its origins.
Yeah, which we're going to get into. It's very ironic considering where it went to. And there's plenty of women I'm sure who can relate to being sexually frustrated, but these guys take it to another fucking level, man. But we don't really know how many of them there are. Because of the nature of the community belonging largely to the underground or sometimes even the dark web, it's impossible to calculate how many incels there are today, with some estimates guessing as low as a few thousand to some guessing hundreds of thousands.
Fucking huge gap.
Do you know how, fucking pompous it is that, the regular internet is just not fucking enough, you have to go and be super exclusive on the dark web to talk about how you're a fucking turbo version.
Turbo
You
version.
really got to nerd out to like,
yeah, how
even-
fucking a dork do you have to be? I'm gonna go talk about this shit on the dark web.
I don't even want to talk about this shit on the regular internet.
Dude, I use my work computer for all this shit, and I'm just like, man, I should not be doing. I need to get a new computer just for this fucking podcast.
Yeah,
dude.
because we're dipping our toes in some dangerous territory for your work computers.
Oh, yeah.
I like to be going there.
Yeah, I took the hit and went on 4chan on my own. So
Oh yeah, and we're gonna have a little segment at the end where we journey deep into the depths of 4chan.
K-Town's Dive. K-Town's Dive into
2
4chan.
hours of my life that I'll never fucking get back.
But many, many years before 4chan even started, as early as 1987, a psychology professor named Brian Gilmartin published a book called Shyness and Love, Causes and Consequences and Treatment, which introduced the idea of involuntary celibacy as a condition that could actually be cured.
Yeah, get a fucking hobby and just go outside.
So, I mean, just another classic, like, nerds using the internet early in the 80s. I mean, like, and this was probably not a bad thing. I mean, quote unquote, love shyness, and people have been having trouble getting laid since the beginning of time, probably.
Yeah, I want to put that out there too. We're not hating on these people, the love shy community. Like, I legitimately feel sorry for them.
Yeah, I get that.
They just need some personal growth and work they need to do. Like, they're contributing to society still in some type of way. They just need to work on themselves and build up some confidence.
I think a lot of these types of guys, men and women, I guess at this point, they're just people who never, quote unquote, came out of their shell. Like some people, everyone comes out of their shell at a certain point, and if you never get that, if you never have something to kind of like crack you open, anything that kind of has a little bit more personality, you're just going to be stuck on the internet. You're going to be stuck wherever. I mean, this is 1987, so the internet's kind of limited. And that's just a book. However,
there was only so deep you could dive back.
I just want to make sure the audience at least knows there's a difference. There's two sides to this coin. There's the side you can feel sorry for, and then there's the side that's just trash.
That's some of the worst people in our society.
Are you saying there's room for sympathy, K-Town?
We'll get there. So
there's levels to this shit, is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It's an onion.
So,
It's an ogre.
So in 1988, the website alt.support.shyness was created as a community support group for coping with dating and sexual failures and advice for overcoming it. So they were kind of referencing this book, Shyness and Love, Causes, Consequences, and Treatment, and that kind of like opened the floodgates of a community of people who just wanted to share stories of coping with their lack of ability to date, to have sex, etc.
And just share meaningful relationships with people, and just a place to kind of share those stories and just kind of bounce ideas off each other's, maybe even try solutions. It's just a forum.
Mm-hmm. And it was in 1993 that, ironically, at least if you know anything about what you usually think of the modern incel, in 1993 there was a lesbian college student named Elena Boltwood who launched Elena's Involuntary Celibacy Project as part of a college research assignment. But by 1997, the website had become a popular forum for people who related to similar dating woes, and the community that began in alt.support.shyness joined the forum.
The most depressing superhero crossover of all time.
They just join the fucking Avengers, and it's just like, hey, what's up?
I tried to talk to someone at the grocery store the other day,
and then Luke Cage rolls up. He's like, I might have a proposition for you to join. I'm like,
did you just say Luke Cage?
Or sorry, oh my god,
fucking Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. Oh wow,
you piece of shit.
Come on, play that back. Oh my god, I'm new to the Marvel world, guys.
Let me push up my glasses on that one. Actually,
I'm new to the Marvel world, guys. Neither of them appear that much in my world, honestly. Like,
forgive him.
Yeah, Luke Cage is a whole TV show. I haven't watched that. I haven't watched that shit. But anyway, we're getting way off topic.
Are we, though?
Well, someday we are going to do the Avengers of incels, furries, and flat earthers when we get to an episode on 4chan. Oh. That will be the actual Avengers of all of this bullshit. But again, long before that, we've got our girl Elena, who is just a girl who started a project, who's just sharing kind of her relationship woes, and I think
it's Alana.
Well, Alana, sorry. So she actually coined the term imbecile on her website in 1997, but this was soon replaced with just incel because she felt that imbecile sounded too much like imbecile.
So Alana, like, started the group. She started the forum that would pull these people together. She coined the name Incel, and then even shortened into Incel. She's really like the godmother. She's like the unsung godmother.
She's
of
the
incels.
oracle. If we're continuing our Matrix references, she's the original oracle of this whole thing. The lesbian college student oracle.
She was baking the cookies and doing the dishes for him.
That's true, but eventually everything went to shit.
Bending the spoons.
While this community could be described at the time as a positive support group for men and women in and outside the LGBTQ community who held common ground with their relationship woes, Alana left after she started to feel that the tone of the community became one of misogyny and defeatism. So Alana, eventually, she had gotten into a relationship even, and probably just couldn't relate to the incels anymore. Alana had gone off to be a software developer in Toronto. So, I mean, she's created this community for all these people that relate to her, but then eventually, I mean, she's just going there with her relationship problems, and all of a sudden, these dudes who are very toxic, all of a sudden, relationship problems are being blamed specifically on women.
So it started out just as a thing where, like, people could kind of hopefully pool together and crowdsource solutions and kind of share stories over similar experiences. And I'm sure even in the beginning stages, some of those kind of negative weeds would crop up, and like people would be like, hey, they would get cut down. People would be like, hey, you know, that's not the way to go. But I think over time, just like especially after Alana left, like.
Well, I think the positive intentions attracted much more positivity, but then you're still opening up, like, just the nature of the beast in the situation. You're opening it up to another type of person that's going to inevitably come in.
Yeah, it was a support group, and then it was just, you know, people going there talking about their problems, and like they were supporting each other and trying to grow from it. And then you had like the fucking idiots coming in, like, hey, let's go start a fight club, bro. Turned it into some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the idiots took over time. Yeah. Like they outgrew the people that.
Yeah, you're going in there talking about, you know, you have a hard time going up to girls, and then five neckbeards come on there, and it's like, because they're all fucking bitches!
Mm-hmm. That's where it started. It started with one, it was one motherfucker who was like, you know what the real problem is? Women.
Yeah.
And then just if someone was like, you know what, I was thinking it, I wasn't going to say it, but you know what, you're right. And then all of a sudden, you get the darker side of the incel world. And it's worth mentioning that there are some communities that are still devoted to this type of stuff, but today, we're talking about the darker side of the incel world. So, in 1999, The Matrix enacted a scene that described the consequences of taking either a red pill or a blue pill. And this whole concept, in which one pill represented accepting a peaceful reality that was kind of free from the painful truths of the world, which was separate from another reality which would expose you to a horrible world. This was co-opted by the growing incel community that considered being red-pilled as an acceptance of the lies perpetuated by mainstream society regarding gender norms and pleasantries and happiness in general.
Basically, the red pill is like, hey, this is how you've been living this lie, and this is how it really is.
They've been telling you anyone can find love, but in reality, only Chads.
Only Chads find love.
Exactly. You have to look a certain way. You have to be perfect enough to actually get laid or even find a woman at all. And this stuff really started to fester in 2003 when we finally began our infamous community website, 4chan, which was launched and served as a new home base for countless incels among many other fringe communities. And again, that will be a whole episode in itself.
Started by a 15-year-old. Did you guys know that?
Huh.
Fucking A, that's wild, right?
Save that heat, Mark.
That kind of makes sense, though. I can understand that. And, you know, that's the thing, is a lot of incels, I think they're very young. Like, yeah, we're going to get all into this, but not everyone lost their virginity, like, when they were fucking 13. There's plenty of people who were 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
I think it's a very common thing to struggle with sex, and the sexual frustration is very common for young males, definitely, you know, especially, you know, going through high school and shit. You're just figuring shit out, you know.
One of my stepdad's best friends didn't lose his until he was 45.
Woof.
So that's not good.
I mean, he fucking now, but he won't fucking for a real long time.
He fucking like that now? Like he's really making up for the whole...
Up, like,
I guess. I mean, he's in a relationship, so...
Hey, dude.
Well, I mean, all right.
You know,
Good for him.
Goddamn.
Cool. I mean, and that's the thing, though, is like, imagine if you're 15, 16, 17 years old, and all of a sudden, like, you're feeling kind of frustrated, but you fall into 4chan, and then there's all these other kids who feel kind of like you, and all of a sudden you're in this deep, dark echo chamber of defeatism where you're constantly reminded, oh, this is the way the world really is. When it's like, no, that's not the way the world is. It's just we're all reinforcing this concept. This concept.
This is why you'll always have this problem because of this, or because of that, or because you do this, or because you look like that. You know, it's just this echo chamber of just like negativity, and they're just bouncing all this bullshit off of each other and living it and breathing it.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to start to take you down into the dark, dark world of the inceldom. So even though the world and culture of incels are vast, we're going to take you down a tour of just a few different paths that the incel might take. So, all incels start off the same as us, regular guys, by believing the mainstream ideology of the blue pill, which is the often unquestioned narrative presented by mainstream media regarding the realities of dating, sex, in general.
What a bunch of cucks, dude.
Everyone's a cuck, according to the blue pill. That's all you really realize.
You start off as a complete cuck.
Born to cuck into this cruel world.
You would say that as a Tyrone.
oh no.
Oh god. Oh god.
So the core belief of the blue cell, according to incels, is that looks, status, etc. don't necessarily have to matter, despite apparent evidence to the contrary that they believe is present all throughout the rest of the animal kingdom, which would make it evident that only chads are able to acquire successful mates. So it's true, in most of the animal kingdom, the faster, stronger, smarter male is going to mate, and they think that same evolutionary cycle is exactly the same in human beings, basically.
And there is some truth to that, you know.
Sure.
You know, people are drawn to confident people. People are drawn to people that are confident, and you know, that's not completely false,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but that isn't 100% true.
I mean, that counterpoints chick, she brought that up towards the end. You know, dating apps and everything now, you're just swiping based solely on looks.
Yeah,
you're looking
yeah.
at a face, and it's something that catches you.
Oh, they hate.
So there is some
they
truth
hate
to that.
Tinder, bro.
Oh god.
I can imagine. I mean, that's the thing with a lot of their claims. Like, they'll have these certain ideas that are horrible that might be relevant 5%, 10%, some even stuff like this, so that's probably more. Like, it is true, generally people are attracted to people that look more attractive, or whatever, but also there's such thing as leagues. Like, everyone can get someone within their league and sometimes kind of go in and out, whatever. You know, it's complex, but they try and make it so black and white.
Where it's like just it's exactly, it's like this game board, and these are the pieces, and these are the moves, and that's it.
So we didn't really mention what a Chad was. A Chad is a genetically superior alpha male, a human alpha male, who only consists of 20% of the male population. But this 20% of men have preferential access to most of the female population, leaving most other men in the dust.
The Chads have access to 100% of the female population.
Chads are fucking 100%, but they're only 20% of the male population.
So their whole idea is that somehow 80% of men are just left behind. So they think that 80% of men are basically incels or just above incels, which, I don't know, seems a little bit inaccurate.
Yeah,
Incels or cucks. You're either an incel or you've sold out.
True.
And bought into the into the ideals.
Well, the way they word it is basically you become rich and successful, and you basically start having to deal with tainted meat, quote unquote. Women who have gone through their quote unquote this is whore phase and fucked all these chads, and now they're wanting to settle down and have a stability. So now they're going to these people that are slightly above incel that are successful and just being worn out with them.
Which, again, probably that scenario has probably played out in our society, but that's not the majority of how relationships work.
It's a very cartoonish ideology that they have, dude. It's very,
everything about this is very immature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their entire reality is like a caricature of the real sexual and dating world. But at some point, a potential incel might move on the blue pill. They see things, they're starting to think, what's going on here? And they might shift to what's called the purple pill, in which they might be on the fence over whether or not to accept the true or dark nature of human romance. But at that point, if they do go beyond the purple pill, they will finally be red-pilled, which is the point at which they accept the grim reality that life is not a fucking Adam Sandler or Seth Rogen movie. And this is almost intrinsically associated by an intense disdain for women and Chads, self-deprecation, and oftentimes even racism. Oof. So it's kind of like, I think the reason that I said Adam Sandler or Seth Rogen movies, those are movies that I think I could see incels not liking, because they would think that those are Chad-splaining movies, where it's like, yeah, man, you can look this way and still get a woman, and they're like, no, it's bullshit, that never happens.
Yeah, like, Knocked Up literally was like a deadbeat slob that, just went out and got a job and started acting like a normal human being and got a pretty wife and kid.
So Seth Rogen was a Chad in Knocked Up.
Well, he was a slob at first, and then he became a Chad by the end of the movie.
What I'm saying I think incels probably would see is, like, they have that term Chad-splaining, which is the idea of, like, someone who is an incel trying to explain to you, like, yo, man, like, what most of us would say, like, hey, just go out and do it.
Be yourself, man.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Well, Chad-splaining is always, like, it's a Chad, so, like, a handsome, well-built dude is like, just read a book, man. And
that's right, we're
hobby.
cucks. Yeah. We're not Chads or incels, we're cucks.
None of us in this room are Chads.
Wait, we're not?
We're just cucks.
I kind of want to be a Chad.
I'm sorry.
Oh, damn.
Me and Payne aren't Chads.
Oh, yeah, let's get right into it.
Mark's a tyrant.
This is a horrible one. So caught square in the middle of the crossfire of racism and sexism in the incel community is their mortal enemy, the Tyrone, the black alpha male.
To incels, the worst thing a woman can do is to sleep with an alpha black male. They'll take a woman that slept with a Chad. They will not touch a woman that's been with a Tyrone.
Roasty.
Roasty?
Yeah. She's been roasted by a black man.
Oh my god,
she's a roasty. She's got dark
rough,
in her
dude.
now.
This is like some.
It is the most racist,
shit,
just
dude. Like, it's all
bottom
really
of the barrel.
Oh, we haven't even gotten started yet, man. So, like we said earlier, most incels are white men. But we got a couple terms for incels that might identify with other races, or identify who are other races, such as black cell, which isn't too bad. But then we got rice cell. And curry cell. You can put the pieces together who they're referring to.
Yo, but real talk, curry cell sounds like a dope Indian restaurant that I would be at.
Can I have some curry cell right
Yeah,
now?
I could go for some curry cell, bro.
Dude, I'm so hungry.
It does ring off the off your what the fuck?
Roll off the tongue.
It rolls off the tongue very nicely. Yes. Trying to hit up curry cell. That's not too bad. But then it's actually a racist slur for incel Indian people. Jesus Christ.
Can't have shit anymore, man.
Yeah, man. Okay, so like we said, there are a few different paths that you might take as an incel, but we're going to go on possibly the most ridiculous one. So once you become an incel, you might seek to find a positive community, such as Alana's Involuntary Celibacy Project, where you can vent and seek help, but many will take more toxic routes. So this is only going to get more racist, guys. So let's say you're on a desperate journey to get laid, but you feel insecure because of the prevalence of alpha Chads and Tyrones in your first world country. You might want to start off by visiting, and this is a real incel term according to the Incel Wiki, Tutorial Island, aka the Philippines.
I gotta put this away because it's just all
this is horrible
after this, dude.
Yeah, sorry everybody.
We're sorry, dudes. Like
we're just reporting this shit. So they call the Philippines Tutorial Island. This is basically just a racist interpretation of the Philippines in which an incel man can easily provide for women who they just assume are all poor, thus providing them with sex. So basically they think that catching a Filipino woman will be easier. And again, this is hard to even say, honestly.
Basically, for any of our nerd listeners out there, if you've ever played an RPG, the beginning area always has really low-level enemies you can take out and build up and gain strength and figure out the process of playing the game and the rule set and everything. And that's basically what they're calling the Philippines. You can go out there and just slay a bunch of poor people.
Has the Incel Wiki put that Tutorial Island can prepare players for other maps in the game with higher difficulty levels. This is horrible.
Good God.
And this specifically originates from the Tutorial Island in the massive multiplayer online game RuneScape, where you'd go and learn how to chop trees and cook and fish and all other kinds of... and you would fight like once.
Basically, RuneScape is the dorkiest game anyone's ever played, and these guys are coining it as a term.
Yeah, I mean,
it shows you the level that you have to be on to be a true incel.
You got to be a pretty high level, actually.
It's a really good insight to the way they look at the world as like this fucking game that can be like calculated and like the statistics and like it's kind of gamified the way they think. And
I mean, yeah, if all you do is sit at home all day and play video games, you're going to kind of quantify all of reality as if it was that.
Like they're trying to find this cheat code to like crack women.
And if you were to crack that cheat code, you would become what's called a PUA, a pickup artist, which is basically this idea that you can manipulate female partners by faking a confident personality in order to obtain a sexual partner or even a girlfriend.
These are also known as fuckboys.
Honestly, yeah, but
I wouldn't.
Well, PUA was an incel, but they become a PUA. Fuckboys are just shitty dudes that.
But even like, I feel like most pickup artists like
are fuckboys.
Well, no, I think a fuckboy fucks.
Yeah,
I don't think pickup artists are fucking. That one guy in that documentary we watched, he was a quote unquote pickup artist, and he still was not fucking.
No.
He was talking like he knew what he was doing, but again, it's like you're talking about a video game that you've only read like the strategy guide to, but never actually played.
You just read the back of the box because your PC was too poor to play it when you were growing up.
So that's just one path that the incel might take. I mean, that's a big culture into itself, and we'll kind of address that again later when we get to one of the darker motherfuckers in this whole story. But the PUA world is a very kind of just. It's gross. I mean, this whole thing is gross, but the PUAs are just something special entirely.
They do really dumb things like, they're like, oh, to manipulate a woman into thinking she's not good enough for you, you go up and you compliment her and then do a snide little remark to kind of let her know she's still shitty.
Compliment.
Yeah, like, oh, your hair's really pretty for you being so overweight.
It's
like
using
some dumb shit
dumb
like
little
that.
mind games like that. Yeah, it's really.
Oh, he said I was pretty and fat at the same time.
It's using toxicity as the foundation for meeting a person, and you got to think like when these people meet someone like that, when do you drop the charade, or you just keep? Does that just become who you are? You're just this person who only knows how to manipulate women.
I feel like most incels aren't trying to build a relationship; they're just trying to fuck.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I don't believe that. I think that
I think shy lovers want relationships.
Yeah.
A true red-pilled incel is just trying to fuck because they don't think women are humans. Yeah. Why would you want to build a relationship with someone you have no respect?
Well, like we
whatsoever.
said, there's levels to this shit.
Right,
yeah,
but
not every incel is the same, and I hate to give them much sympathy, especially what we're about to get, but it is worth saying that different incels think differently. There's different degrees.
We're talking about the worst of the worst.
Yeah, so let's get into that. So another probably vastly more common path the incel might take after the figurative consumption of the deepest and darkest truths of the incel world is known as the black pill. So the black pill is the absolute most pessimistic extension of the red pill, which is based around total acceptance of the genetic realities of dating and sexual attraction. So it's basically this idea that you accept the reality that you yourself have lost the genetic lottery and you are absolutely hopeless.
Yeah, the black pill is like, okay, you failed, you were born failed, you lost your genetic garbage, you lost the lottery when you were born. You will always be genetic garbage. You will never get laid. It's a hopeless route.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shred of hope. There's no like maybe one day I'll meet that one girl. No,
yeah, that's all been a lie.
It's never coming.
And the thing is that this is such a big part of the incel community is they're so based in defeatism. Like they'll go on these forums and they'll post like a picture of their face, and sometimes it'll be a dude that is not a half bad looking dude, but he'll just go on there, post his face, and every single person will tear apart like the shape of his.
Look at your fucking eyebrows, bro. Like
your bone structure is fucked up.
That they're obsessed with bone structure, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obsessed with bone structure,
which is interesting because there's actually really deep roots to that. Like honestly, for a long period of time, people believed in what was called phrenology, where basically you thought that you could understand a human's personality and psychology just based on the shape of your head. They had like these scales they could use to measure every single part of your head. So they're taking this back to like a very old form of pseudoscience, not too different from our boys in the fucking Flat Earth Society. In fact, there's a few commonalities between them.
Nazis were big into skull shapes and shit too, man.
Well, just to get back to a thing that you said a second ago, that like they'll post pictures. The wild thing is that half of these dudes are just they're just average looking dudes. They're just some regular ass dudes, and because they live in these forums and these echo chambers, they just bounce back these fucking negative ideas about. They're just regular dudes, man, just with toxic fucking mindsets.
I think that's why they have, there are all kinds of different cells. We don't even have time to get into all of them, but one of them is the mental cell, which I think that's where most of those dudes land under, where, they're dudes that don't... It's not that they're too ugly to get laid or have a girlfriend, it's just that they're too, there's some kind of has one described it, mental blockage or something. There's something that makes it so that they just don't... They feel... I mean, who knows what it is? Maybe it's something as innocent as feeling just intensely awkward and never being able to get over that. Sometimes it might even be full-blown fucking sociopathy. It's really hard to call. You really can't pigeonhole these people. But yeah, so many incels that accept this version of reality end up in extremely defeatist communities on Reddit, 4chan, or 4chan's darker cousin, which was actually apparently recently shut down, 8chan.
It's twice the chan.
Exactly.
Twice the hate.
So these communities, they all get together, and like we were talking about, they get together and they just criticize each other, and they exchange ideas about their hatred for women, such as, let's get into this one, Becky's and Stacy's.
Oh, yeah.
So
we didn't even talk about femoids.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the words that they use to kind of dehumanize women, is call them femoids, which is just... I can't even hate that because it's so dorky. Femoids.
Dumb-ass fucking,
Again, it's a cartoon. The whole fucking world's a cartoon.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about what a Becky and a Stacy is?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So Nicki Minaj
is a Stacy. Yeah.
She's definitely a Stacy.
And maybe Emma Watson is a Becky.
That's a good way of putting it. A Becky is kind of the more chill girl. She might not as opposed to a Stacy, who is just a completely sexualized blonde woman with
I feel like a Becky is the girl you'd see at Starbucks in yoga pants and a hoodie, buying a coffee with her hair in a bun. Mm-hmm. Normal looking girl, just nothing crazy. And then a Stacy's Nicki Minaj. You got triple D breasts popping out and
sexualized you said. But even still, it's very fucking just
cartoonish.
Yeah,
exactly. Come on, man. That's not the two types of fucking women in the world.
No, there's only normos and fucking
the
Nicki
normies.
Minaj.
Yes, and we were talking about this before. Is I think a lot of them actually probably hate Becky's even more.
Yeah, because they feel entitled to the Beckys because they're not. They feel like they should be on their level because they're normal. They're
Once again, levels. So there's everyone's on this certain level, on a scale from 1 to 10, and you should have only be dating 10 should be dating 10s, 5 should be dating 5s, and 1's 1.
That's how they feel ideally the world should work, but they view everything as women only date above their status
because of the sexual revolution.
Yeah,
because there's a trade-off. Because they said there's a trade-off for if you're a higher tier woman, if you're a 10 woman, you'll date or marry an 8 tier man for his money. Just these really, the thing is that a lot of these things, they're just compressed versions of latent misogyny that's present throughout all of our society. They're just a very compressed version of it, fully concentrated misogyny. Here's another fucking thing we want to talk about. This is really dark. I just saw this in the notes. These communities, we're making them sound like just these horrible dickheads, which they are for a lot of the part, but they're also just really depressed, super depressed boys and men.
So they hate women.
They hate themselves.
And they hate chads, yeah, but they mostly hate themselves. These are the most self-loathing motherfuckers.
They wish they were, they may hate chads, but if they were given the chance to be a chad, they would take it in a heartbeat.
100%.
Yeah. All this hate stems from just a complete, total self-hatred.
It's like any situation. I think that's a common thread throughout most people, is the more you hate yourself, the more you're going to project that hate onto other people, and these people just intensely hate themselves. In fact, these motherfuckers even have a term for suicide, which is called roping. Did you hear what happened to blah, 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 420 the other day? Oh, he roped himself, dude. As if to kind of lessen the impact of saying, yeah, dude, our friend killed himself. And they even have terms such as rope fuel and suey fuel, which refer to content or words or whatever that might trigger suicidal ideation. They're kind of like triggers.
Yeah, it's their term for a trigger warning.
Yeah, it's like desensitizing some really fucked up shit, dude. Like,
it's just a rope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of depression that's rampant in the community. Like they're depressed. Dude.
Yeah, that one guy in the Vice documentary, like he was like, "Yeah, I lost 4 friends this year," and like he was just so nonchalant about it. Yeah, this one guy who just shit on camera, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, that guy who shit on camera died 2 days after this,
killed himself
recording."
Yeah,
the fuck, man.
I mean, suicide is truly rampant in these communities.
I think they use these. They think they use. Some of them think you're using these forms for like a coping mechanism and like. But I don't think it's that. I don't think anything.
Well,
good
yeah,
is coming
they go
from
on
it.
these forums and everyone on there is telling them that a therapist is fucking lying to you.
A therapist is like a distributor of the blue pill or something,
they're
probably.
just trying to blue
The red pill.
Well, like that one
Yeah.
section we were reading on the wiki, like people were like, female therapists especially are like like the biggest like monsters on the universe because they're just perpetuating that there is a chance just to like I don't know what like they think like females' end goals are.
I think they have an
blue pilling
aversion
people.
to anything. I think part of it is kind of in like an oppositional defiant complex where like they're like, oh, there's a gate now, I'm on the other side, I'm red pilled, and anyone that tries to make me feel like it's like they actually derive some kind of, ironically, some kind of egotistical idea from that. You know, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm one of the elites. Like, you will never be one of us. You know, that type of mentality.
Well, there's a lot of it that lays on the line of it, too, because, like, if any of this shit happens to be true, if like, down the line they realize that any of this blue pill shit happens to be true, well, then what does that mean? It means it's all been a lie. It's not.
Yeah,
true, the system in place is not just the system, and it's just me, and I'm responsible for all these things. So... I think there's levels to this fucking shit, dude. That's
a good point. Yeah, like the idea that like, oh, I don't need to blame myself for my issues. I can just blame the world on it. This is just the way that women are, the way the world is. It's everything's out against me.
Made I was just born, on the wrong side of this with the wrong odds, and it's not my fault.
So I don't have any reason to try.
Yeah,
exactly. So those are some of the more depressing incels, but it's about time that we talk some of the more extreme ones, who are inspired by either intense sexism, racism, or an often deadly combination of the two. So some incels have taken their obsession with defeatism to the ugliest level by exacting their pathetic supposed revenge in society by enacting mass shootings. So it's worth saying that the Southern Poverty Law Center actually considers incels as a hate group because of their male supremacist views, which I think definitely makes sense. I mean, I think it's the stats say that there have been 45 people who have been killed by self-proclaimed incels, but as we'll get to it later, I mean, I think a lot of these school shooters are incels.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the term wasn't popularized until much later after a lot of these shootings and stuff happened. So
I mean, even look at like to kind of draw a parallel with furries. Like we all thought that furries were something that only happened like 15 years ago, but when you actually look into it, it's like, oh, these
forever.
Yeah, these motherfuckers
been going on. Yeah,
exactly. And a lot of us, I think, we just didn't know that this shit was going on for so long.
We can just identify it better now, and people,
Well, I mean, like think of like when you first heard the term incel. It was like past 4 or 5 years, and that lesbian Alana, she started her thing in like 93.
Yeah.
So like they've been around. It's just no one knew what the fuck it was until like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
well, I think the biggest reason for that is because of some of these terrorists. Most specifically,
and that's straight up what they fucking are. They're terrorists.
Exactly. Straight up. First of all, we just want to mention something, our kind of policy in this podcast, that there are several examples of mass shootings committed by incel men, ranging from teenagers to 40-year-old men, but we're just not going to name them. we're going to leave these people anonymous. And, you know, maybe there's some level of sympathy for the other incels, the ones who are just kind of like pathetic men. You know, there's something to be said about that. But these motherfuckers, we're not going to speak on their names. And if you're really that interested in true crime and you want to know more about it, like what caused them to do what they did, you can look into that. But we're just not going to do it here, and we're using some pseudonyms.
Fuck those guys. We're not giving them class.
They deserve to be dead.
Yeah.
And you can hate on me for all you want for saying that. Fuck them. Fuck everything about them.
Yeah, we don't, because I think there's so much of that in the media. You always see, as soon as someone, you know.
A picture, and yeah.
Because imagine if you're in that person's mindset, you can just go out immediately and you know the next day, later that day, some picture that you have is going to be posted all over the internet. This motherfucker, the dude that we're about to talk about, we're just going to call him Ruddy Duddy, the terrorist incel that killed.
He's a great example of that shit, though.
He's basically their god.
Yeah, he's idolized in their community.
So we're talking about old Ruddy Duddy, a terrorist incel that killed 6 people plus himself on May of 2014 in Isla Vista, California. So yeah, this guy is like kind of the reason a lot of people even know about incels in general.
He was the first mainstream talking point of incels.
And what's crazy is he put out this big, long YouTube video, and, like, that shit was posted. I remember it was posted by, like, major news outlets.
Yeah,
you're like, yeah, you want to see some shit?
You're just promoting your fucking boy, dude. This dude was a piece of shit, too, especially because he was
a good-looking dude.
He wasn't a fucking eyesore. He wasn't like a fucking ogre.
He was rich.
He was fucking privileged. He was rich. The YouTube videos that you're mentioning, he shot in his fucking BMW. Yeah. The fucking shit he did, the people he killed, was in his fucking BMW.
Because they say, like, they're like, okay, looks, money, status. It's like, this dude's got all 3 of those things. What else are you left with?
What do you mean, dude?
He's just a pathetic, self-hating motherfucker. But that's all there is to it. And, I mean, that's the thing, is in his video and in his big manifesto, he left all these notes about how he was taking action against what he perceived as a world that was in an unfair favor of women. And a lot of incels do really look up to this guy. I mean, there are some groups online that will be like, no, they kind of take a soft stance, like the Incel Wiki, for example.
I'd say probably, from just reading, like, forums and shit, 50% of them, like, feel like they wish they could be him. They wish they could stand up and do something like he did. He's a hero. And
probably a good amount of them, to at least some degree, probably sympathize with him.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's probably some that say, they're like, just to kind of save face, they're like, no, I don't like that guy. But they're probably like, at certain times, they're probably like, oh, man, you know.
Yeah, no. It's
at least he stood up for what he believed for. That's like their big thing.
Motherfuckers will really say that shit.
Yeah, it's gross.
And the thing is like, even this guy, he was deep in the incel. Like, people say, like, oh, he doesn't use the term incel that often in his video or in his manifesto. But this dude specifically was talking about the pickup artist culture inside the inside inceldom. But, like, if you're even talking about pickup artists, that means you're deep in the incel world. This guy was a full-blown fucking incel on totally 4chan, on all that bullshit. Full-blown. But it's worth mentioning, I mean, there have been other self-proclaimed incel killers, but one of the more famous killers that was not a self-proclaimed incel was, we're just going to call him Broke Brian.
Broke Brian.
Who, in 2007, he shot up Virginia Tech, killing 33 people, including himself, after being rejected by a hooker and getting assigned a restraining order from a girl that he left, like, a love note on a whiteboard. So this guy didn't proclaim to be an incel, but he was. Like, we know that he was a guy who had sexual frustrations and hated women.
So that back on the self-loathing aspect of it, that's a lot of things. Like, so suicide is rampant. We talked about that in their community, but then in these forums and shit, they egg this shit on. They egg on suicide, roping, and or rope fuel and shit, and they egg on the idea of killing other people and taking people with you and going out and incel rebellion. Mm-hmm. That's like a big thing.
The best example of that I saw was, again, the ContraPoint video, how it opened up with like that guy describing how amazing it would be to like just like really deep and poetically like just kissing someone that absolutely loves you,
be in the embrace of a woman,
intimate and all this stuff. It's just this long, really romanticized, like drawn out, almost beautiful kind of way to describe like making love to someone that truly loves you.
It gets a little extra.
And then at the end it's just like, and you will never experience that because you don't have the right bone structure. and you're a piece of shit, and you're a fucking incel.
Can you imagine reading that and really just like that is what they're talking about when they say rope fuel and suey fuel? You read something like that completely tells you everything that you want. You just want to know what that feels like to be with someone that actually loves you and appreciates you. That is so far from them. And then reading this one line at the end where it's like, you will never have that. That's
You're hopeless.
Yeah, dude. All that shit is rope fuel. All that shit makes you want to kill yourself.
That would make anyone any normal person feel that way. You know, that's what. Despite what anyone thinks or feels, everyone at the end of the day just wants to be loved by somebody and to have that feeling of intimacy.
And that's where
everyone wants that. That's
where I have some sympathy for these people. But then you've got the fucking psychopaths who feel like that, but when they have that mixed with anger and whatever other issues they may have, that's where you get these fucking school shooters or these just mass shooters in general, not even school shooters. They're shooting up fucking... I want to mention real quick, when we were doing some of our research for this episode, that's when a couple... The series of mass shootings happened in this country, in El Paso, Texas, in Daytona, Ohio.
Two shootings.
Literally the day that we were
weekend.
doing that big research.
We were drunk trying to drown out our depression when this shit dropped, and we were just like, fuck, dude. And we all got incel vibes. You saw that one dude, the McLovin looking motherfucker?
Yeah, fucking goofball.
Yeah. We'll just call him goofball. But all these dudes, a lot of these people, a lot of these white nationalist terrorists, a lot of these motherfuckers, they're just incels. Like, seriously. What do y'all think of that?
I think it sucks, dude. I think it's shitty as fuck. No one likes this shit. It's a really shitty time, like, in our country, and it's a sad time in our country when you almost feel like nowhere is fucking safe. There was a shooting in it was at some fucking what was it, like a garlic festival?
That was in California.
In California,
it's so hard
dude,
to even keep track of them all because we
up.
Literally 4 in the past week.
Dude, what the fuck? Like, what? Just anywhere, and so you can't even keep up, like you said. So it's really fucking just sad, dude.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we're always talking about how can we solve these problems. Is it like something as dumb as is it video games? Is it gun access? Is it health, mental health? And it's really impossible to say. But I think by
apparently
understanding
it's video games.
Yeah, apparently we're really backed at that. But anyway, but I mean, well, actually, you know what I just thought of? A lot of these incels do play a lot of video games. But that's just because it comes with the territory. You're very lonely. You're by yourself all the time. You're going to play video games. It's not the video games made them want to do it.
I mean, but that's like saying, like, oh, they drink water, too, so water's feeding you. You know,
it's causation versus correlation. Yeah. Like, they're similar, but there's no causation.
You'll find a console in every murderer's house, and you'll also find water and socks. Mm-hmm.
And you know what I found? You know what we found in fucking the Daytona shooter's house? A pair of socks. You wear fucking socks? Get over here, bitch. You're on the list. But I mean, I think there's something, if we could crack the code on these people's psychology, and if we could find a way to maybe like seek a preventative measure against like inceldom, I think that would crack the code on a lot of the issues that we have going on with these mass shootings and this bizarre phenomenon that we happen to have.
Yeah, if we could figure out the cheat code to fix them.
Dude, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to. They got cheat code. They got the abacab. They think they got the abacab to women, even though it fucking every time it happens, it's like does not recognize.
Up,
cheat.
down, left, start, select.
I wish we could find the cheat code, man. But you know what? We decided to go deep into the depths of 4chan itself. So, K-Town, you want to take it?
I mean, yeah. I just read some goofy shit on their the R9K board, or the Robot 9001. So it's basically their incel board. It's not super obvious it's their incel board, but once you get on there and start reading, that's all this shit is.
Oh yeah.
So, what I want to start with is I got this screenshot here of the first board I came across, and it was a picture of the El Paso shooter walking into the Walmart with his gun drawn, and everything's anonymous up here, by the way.
Yeah, on 4chan and 8chan, every single post is anonymous. You don't sign in or anything.
No one knows who's who, and you really don't have to have a username or anything to read this shit. You can just go on there and read, like I did for 2.5 hours.
Oof.
Yeah. So it's a picture of the El Paso shooter, and the OP, the original poster, posted, what do you think was going through his head in this moment? And then it's just a bunch of fucking dorks talking about it and making goofy jokes. really edgelord shit. But the one in particular that I really enjoyed was...
Enjoyed?
Well, the one that really stuck out to me, at least. The anonymous poster, talk all the shit you want about this kid, but at least he left his computer screen and actually did something for his beliefs. Meanwhile, this board is full of neets and incels bitching and moaning and then never doing anything to better themselves. Admire his drive, not his actions.
So he says bitching and moaning and then never doing anything to better themselves, but we're admiring a fucking mass shooter? Like, he didn't do anything to help himself?
No, we're just admiring his drive, not his actions.
True. Yeah, admirable drive. Like, that's like when people say, like, you know Hitler was actually a really smart guy, which, yeah, sure, but, like, you know...
Yeah, dude, Hitler got the trains to run on time, bro.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but come on. Like, that's like that doesn't make him a good person. That's not a good trait.
But, yeah, it's just depressing shit. There's another one. A guy's talking about he got a girlfriend that he met online. Well, he went on a date with a girl he met online. They have a good time. They talk about mutual interests. She doesn't ghost him, and then she texts him a few days later and explicitly refers to him as a friend. And so he's like, should I even bother trying to pursue a relationship, or should I stop replying and block her? She's down to meet up again, but I'm not sure if I'm even going to get anywhere with her as anything other than a friend. I think I'd rather she have ghosted me than just to do this bullshit. And then someone's like, shut the fuck up, beta cuck. You don't give up until she explicitly says no. Oh, she might have said friend because it's easier to say than person I'm interested in. Hang out again. F word.
Jesus Christ. So it's basically like, no, you can't just have a... like, for one, there's no one on here saying, like, hey, do you want a friend? You know, which...
Yeah.
I mean, if you want a certain thing and you don't want to be a friend with them, someone, like, yeah, but you don't have to say, should I block them? Like, no, just go on with your fucking life, dude.
Yeah, block this person.
Here's one that kind of made me feel sad for the OP.
Oh.
I just want to be loved by a female. That's all I want in life. I'd trade my money, family, PC, the clothes on my back, my house, anything I'd fucking give to be loved. I don't want sex or kiss or anything from a stranger. I want to marry someone I love. The only requirement for my love is to love me back, and for some reason that's too much to ask for. I'm not ugly or poor. I have nothing terribly wrong with me. I'm just lonely and have no one in life. And then there's a couple up here that are just, supportive. They're like, same here. I want to know what it feels like waking up to someone you love, or just knowing there's someone who cares.
Well, you kind of have like a, oh man. Like,
yeah, and then there's people like this. Well, they're like they're responding to a specific quote. I want to marry someone I love, and they're like, yeah, they'll come back to you in 20 more years after they're done fucking a busload of men or more. Or this real edgelord, no one will ever truly love you unless you're a Chad.
Yeah, that's the only way to be loved. Life is black and white, a fucking
shit,
black and
man.
white stupid cartoon.
This is really a bum out, dude.
Oh, and then the sex doll one, the guy posted pictures of possible sex dolls that he was going to buy.
I mean, better than fucking a lot of other shit, man. Yeah, go ahead, whatever.
And was asking other people to... and then people are like up here, is it really worth the effort to clean and maintain it?
God damn,
oh
dude.
God.
Really?
No, just keep fucking hating yourself. Like, dude, at least, man, I don't know how to feel about these sex dolls, because, like, I'm kind of like, ugh. But then I'm kind of like, you know what, man? Do what you gotta do, baby. Like,
someone literally said, jerk off to their pictures and ask yourself if you still want it afterwards. Post-fat clarity is a powerful thing.
These guys fucking...
There's a point
suck,
there, but I don't know. he has a slightly a point with that, but he's not using it right. Actually, let me take that back, because I just don't even want to be on anywhere. I'm not going to agree with anything else these people say. But there is such thing as post-nut clarity.
All right, and then the ultimate screenshot I have is... are you happy with your erect penis length and girth?
And this dude posts a picture of supposedly his dick.
It's literally... It's smaller than my thumb.
This is like what Payne was talking about, how they'll just post pictures.
He has a tape measure on it.
Hold on, me shit.
He has a tape measure on it.
Yeah, zoom into that dick.
It's literally erect right... He says it's erect right now, and it's literally less than 2 inches. And the tape measure is actually wider than the penis. And so then people are just up here, like, one, joking him, and then this one guy's like,
dude, they're joking him also for like the way he measured. They're like, oh yeah, nice measurement.
yeah, they said nice fake measurement.
Yeah.
One dude's like insulting him. It's like saying it's like no, it's 4 fucking inches, or no, it's 3. It's like stop being a liar. That's clearly bigger than you're saying. So like again, it's this gaping. It's a gatekeeping thing where it's like, bitch, your dick ain't even that small. You ain't one of us.
Yeah. Your dick is 3.5. You lying fucking F word. But then the one guy's like, well, mine's above average, and I'm still not happy. You have to be in the 98th percentile of both girth and length to actually be satisfied. Sad what media has done to us.
Not just you, bro. You're
media's just dick shaming everybody.
You're stuck, man. Like,
you know how the media is obsessed with huge dicks, right?
I mean, so one thing I did notice on 4chan is a constant stream of porn ads.
Which is interesting.
So you're literally up. This guy had to post this picture of his dick while seeing some porn star going to town on some 12-inch monster cock, and he's just like,
God, man. So it's only making it worse.
Yeah, 4chan's got a lot of porn ads. Let's just put that out there.
Oh man.
And then this other one.
Oh, this one guy got a girlfriend.
Got girlfriend. She wants to talk all the damn time. This is exhausting. What the fuck? And they're like, what did you expect?
Dating a Norman girl. Jesus.
Yeah, no, just be careful how far all the time becomes. Be willing to draw the line. Speaking from personal experience.
This dude is saying this shit as if like it's some kind of like crazy thing. Like, I actually had a girlfriend once. Trust me, be careful because they might talk.
You assume that you have to respond in direct proportion to what she says. You don't. God made her to be your helper. Now go and say yes, honey, and then fuck her.
Jesus, golly, dude.
Oh, it's getting. Oh, all right. Is this the worst part? Do we have more? Ooh.
Do I have the?
Oh, you know.
I don't know where to go into this one. Maybe if I yell loud and if I loudly yell that anyone who marries a non-virgin is a cuckold, people will not notice that my girlfriend fucking N-words.
They do not censor it. They do not censor that shit.
Then someone put, no, I don't have that opinion. I just don't see a difference between my wife having a white ex and having a black ex. Or an ex of any race for that matter. So
one dude rolls
pretty
up.
Progressive.
Yeah, he rolls up and he's just like, what? Like, no, dude, you are maxing right now.
And then the two responses to that: once she goes black, she doesn't come back.
Good one.
And then the other ones: most girls with black exes weren't fucking some Clarence Thompson N-word. They were fucking Tyrone. The fact that she would sit down and think, oh gee, I want to fuck Tyrone today, makes her a lost cause for life.
It's a lost cause for life,
dude.
Jesus.
For life, bro.
Yeah,
these guys are really on some next level shit, or at least feel comfortable sharing some bullshit online.
Well, and then this one guy says he's writing an incel manifesto because his ex-girlfriend's dating a black guy, and this is not okay.
Jesus Christ.
Alright. Ugh.
Man. So, that's the thing is, like, 4chan is where so much of this stuff is bred because it's all anonymous.
It's like a breeding ground. It's one of those echo chambers.
Yeah, it's an echo chamber, but, like, you don't even know, like, it just it's faceless echoes.
Yeah.
It's faceless words that you have no sense of self-preservation because you can just say whatever you want and no one's going to call you out for it. You don't even have to feel bad for it because you're like, it's anonymous. Who gives a shit?
You're not even hiding behind a username, like where someone can track, like
your IP address or something.
It's straight anonymous. Like there's no. What you say up here is not getting back to you any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that there was 8chan, which was launched. We didn't get the stats for that. Well, again, we're going to do an episode on 4chan in the future.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Save that heat.
Yeah, but it's worth mentioning that there was 8chan, which is pretty much the extension of 4chan, which was formed because of some particular extreme content on 4chan.
Because this shit was too PC for them.
Basically, 4chan had a few more moderators than, or they had moderators in general. There were a few people on there who were like, all right, man, I know we're fucking up, but you're going a little bit too far. So they were like, fuck it. Let's make 8chan. Just double the trouble.
Lawless.
And sure enough, there have been 2 of these manifestos posted from these mass shooters on 8chan, and the people that were providing the internet access for, or the server for 8chan shut them down. They're like, man, we are good on that. So 8chan, as of right now, is not even a thing anymore.
They pulled the plug on it.
They were like the hotels with the furries. They were like, nah, we don't want your money. Please don't come back.
Fuck. So
Y'all ready to get to it then?
here we go. Are the good times killing us? What the fuck do you think?
Can we just say it on 3? All unanimous on 3? 1, 2, 3.
The good times are fucking killing us, dude.
That was so
The good times are fucking killing us, dude. Are you kidding me? They are literally killing us.
bad times.
These are some of the worst times in our society, our whole civilization.
What's that line? There was the best of times and there was the worst of times. There's no best of times. These are
they
just
were-
straight the worst of
No,
times.
the
worst
best
of
of-
times and the worst of times.
How bad is it with your community? The best thing that can happen is that you do nothing with your life. It's like, we're happy if you just sit in that basement and rot.
Yeah,
Like-
please. I hope that's all you do. Like, don't fucking. I hope you do. No, I take
mean,
that
well,
back.
yeah, I hope you find-
you do better for yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Get out of this shit.
But I'd
Get
rather
out of
that
this shit.
than fucking shooting people or killing themselves. And frankly, it's better to kill yourself than to go fucking shoot other people.
Fucking aid.
Y'all want to roundtable this shit? Everyone get their final last word on this. I know it's very tempting just to be like, no. Like, this whole episode has pretty much just been us saying why this shit is literally fucking killing us. But who wants to kick this shit off?
I never kick it off. I'll kick it off.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Like we were saying, there's many levels to this shit. They're definitely Shrek ogres. They're onions. There's layers to this shit, baby.
Shrek ogres and onions.
Yeah, I mean that's Shrek's an ogre. He has layers. He's an onion.
Why
you know?
does Shrek have layers?
He does say that.
Did you
in
never
Shrek.
see the fucking movie? Mark?
I
I actually said this in an interview one time, but we'll talk about that at a later time. But anyway, they have layers. I feel bad for the legit guys who just like the shy love community of the incels. They realize they have a problem. They're not able to meet chicks. Like they're sad and lonely, and like I get that. We've all been there at some point in our lives. We've all been sad, lonely dudes that just want a girlfriend or just someone to act like they care about us. At least I have.
Yeah. I
No,
think
most
I think
people
most
have.
people can relate to that, dude.
Absolutely.
That's
To some
fine. They
extent.
just, like Payne was saying, they haven't come out of their shell yet. And I'm not one to joke them. Like, it's funny. It's like I get like goofing off and maybe a little bit, but at the end of the day, I legitimately feel bad for those guys. Every other motherfucker other than them can fucking die for all I care. I do not feel bad for them. They fucking suck. They're garbage. They should not be allowed to have forums where they can speak like this.
Or at least not be able to buy guns.
Yeah, they should be on a fucking watch list. Like, what?
Least, dude.
Yeah.
They're racist. They're fucking misogynistic. They're just all around pieces of. You don't have a girlfriend because you're a fucking fat slob who has no fucking hobbies and hate everything.
Bro, you don't even have to be
And you
fat.
don't even-
You don't have to be ugly. You don't have to be poor. You know, like, I mean,
You can fit in here.
our
anywhere.
boy Ruddy Duddy.
They will hate you all the same. You can fit in anywhere. They will allow you to hate yourself. I think that's what. Yeah.
That's the real key here. That's really
You can
what it's all about.
still be a nerd and get laid. Like,
Dude, there's nerds
Absolutely.
getting laid all over the place.
there's some chubby chick that likes Dungeons and Dragons somewhere waiting to find her level 20 cleric. And you just need to go out there and roll that fucking die, dude.
She needs a healer, bro.
There's
Like, where are
some-
you at?
Yeah, you know, I think.
We're Chad splitting right now, according to
Yeah,
them. Though.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
just be yourself.
My
Yeah.
fat sweaty ass is Chad splaining. I'm the Chad.
Bro, I'm taking it back. We're Chads again. We're Chads. dude.
Yeah, I'm
All right, let's.
Chad.
Yeah, fuck. it. I'd
Yeah.
rather be a Chad than anything else. With these motherfuckers. I mean, it's actually definitely rather be a Chad because the only level below that is a cuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna take Chad over that.
No, I'm a cuck.
Proud cuck here, bro.
Proud. All right, man. Fuck it. If it means not being a fucking incel, proud cuck right here.
Yeah, I think I would just be repeating basically what K-Town said, dude. I think these guys need to fucking unplug, get off of these fucking forums, dude. Take some kind of self-value in yourself, find what you like, and just stick to it. And fucking, there's someone there for you, man. Whatever, whatever.
Become
level,
a fucking furry. I hate furries,
Get
dude.
out and talk to people. Take part in some fucking real people activities, dude. Some other person who feels the same as you is doing that and making an effort. These guys are making, quote-unquote, thousands of attempts, but I don't really feel like that's true.
Oh yeah, that one guy on that video was like, "I've talked to over 100,000 women." No, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
You live in fucking Montana. There's not 100,000 people in your town.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, yeah, the good times are definitely killing us. And kind of to K-Town's point, like, I have definitely a level of sympathy. As much bullshit as there is that goes on in this community, when at the end of the day, I want there to be less miserable people out there. At the end of the day, I wish these people could find happiness. But yeah, man. I mean, I don't really know what else to say without making it sound like advice to incels, which they would just say we're Chad splitting. And you wonder, like, all I can say is we may not be able to do anything. Us as like a bunch of podcast hosts can't talk to you because you're probably not an incel. But you know what? If you know someone, especially someone who's in a vulnerable point in their lives, who might be actually kind of falling into this trap or to be red-pilled, so to speak, you have a responsibility to talk to them. If you've got a kid, a brother, a cousin,
a friend,
absolutely, and they're starting to talk like this, and we're not saying like, yo, bro, go get your friend laid. It's not like that. You just got to make sure that they don't turn to this dark side, because once it's too late, there's nothing that we can do about it. I mean, hopefully, but I think it gets harder and harder because there's an entire community where you can go up and say something positive, like, oh, I talked to a therapist today, and they're going to say, oh, therapists are just trying to blue pill you.
Yeah, don't Chad-splain me.
Don't Chad-splain me, bro. I mean, there's no getting around it. And also, man, yeah, listen to more of our episodes, incels. Become a fucking furry. I'd rather you be a flat earther than a fucking incel.
Yo,
dude.
flat earthers are fucking, dude.
Absolutely, dude.
We know furries are fucking.
Oh yeah. Yiffin, baby.
Yiffin.
Yeah, go get yiffed, bro. Fucking go get yiffed.
Oh man, so this was great, and I'm gonna admit I'm sighing.
This was not
sigh.
great.
I am. Well, this is great because I get to sigh a sigh of relief. Because we have recorded this fucking episode after 2 weeks of being deep into this shit and watching these fucking videos, and dude, I feel this shit was depressing. It was horrible.
We've had a lot of depressing episodes, man. So
Yeah.
this was by far the fucking cherry on
Oh
the
yeah,
cake.
I thought the furries were bad, but I would do a month of
I love the furries.
I'll watch 3 hours of furry porn than to do this shit again.
that's a tough one, man. Honestly, that's a
Gun to your head: incel porn or furry porn?
What in the incel?
Well, you can't have incel porn.
Incel porn is you just an incel in a corner crying while a woman gets fucked by Tyrone.
Jesus
God,
Christ.
dude.
Honestly, incel porn is just all porn, and this is one thing I kind of want to mention real
Incel porn
quick.
is all porn.
Because that's what, when you think about it, like, some of these incels, like, they'll be like, oh, like, women are out there having sex with just hundreds of guys. And it's like, dude, the only reason you think that is because you've never actually, the only woman that you know is in porn. You only know porn stars, because that's the only exposure you have to women. You know, and sexualized, like, video game characters and shit. Like, how can you say anything about women if you've never talked to them, dude?
Bro, Mortal Kombat lowered the cup size on all their female characters in the latest.
Oh, true.
So how can you say that?
Didn't well, good for them. I'm not I'm not saying like good. I'm not saying like, bro, like they got you, bro. They're gonna keep making bigger tits in games. I heard Final Fantasy VII they made it was like a big. Some people were pissed about this because like Yifa, what's her name?
Tifa, you fucking dork.
Tifa doesn't have like the huge knockers everyone expected. They're quite.
They lowered the breast size.
Yeah, because I mean, they don't need to be. I mean, well, that's the whole other argument. It doesn't really matter. That's the point. It doesn't really matter.
Save it for the big oof.
Hashtag not my breast.
Yeah. So guys, thank you once again for listening to the Good Times Are Killing Us podcast. Follow us on all of the fucking platforms nowadays. Follow the fucking Spotify. Follow the Apple Music, wherever you are listening to this from. Follow the YouTube. We might even have some videos coming out soon. We got the Instagram out there.
Instagram, Good Times Killing Us.
Absolutely. And if you have ideas for what we need to cover, send that shit to us.
Dude, yeah, we definitely would love ideas, any any criticisms or like what you think, what you guys think, like rate us on iTunes, tell us what you think, leave a comment or something.
Honestly, I would love some hate mail, like telling me to kill myself, because I think that shit's hilarious.
Dude, that's the thing. If we ever get big, that's what we're gonna have to deal with so much of.
And I'll love it. I'll love every second of it.
Nah, man, I'm too sensitive.
You're a fat piece of shit. Kill yourself.
Okay.
Joke's on you. I've been thinking that for 20 years.
Jesus Christ. All right. Let's wrap this thing on up, shall we? So, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. The good times are fucking killing us.
We're dead.
And that video also brought up a lot of things that I didn't know about my boys that we won't touch on here, but just the fact that
Whoa.
pain's not officially swole for your boys.
What you mean?
Y'all remember that?
What are you talking about? I'm always swole for my boys, dude.
Yeah.
Not if you were post-op, though.
All right, what are we getting at? What?
It just clicked with Mark. It just clicked with Mark.
All right, so I don't know what the fuck.